If you are looking for fantastic ocean views, then the Hillside neighborhood is for you. One of the things about the Hillside that you can see as a positive or negative, it is windier up here. And so it can ruin a perfect hair day.
We just love coming by the Botanic Gardens because there's such an incredible diversity of plants. Also, you get some exercise. You get to hike up and down the hill, which is a pretty good hike. And lastly, the views are just spectacular up and down the coast.
I am so excited to be able to show you guys Sea View Hills, which is a section of the Ventura Hills.
It's the section of Ventura Hills that's going to be closest to the downtown and also the outdoor pedestrian mall.
Because so many homes are staggered on the hillside, you have that amazing view. You do have overhead power lines, and that does obstruct some of the view, and every home has that because none of the power lines are buried. There's such a mix of eclectic homes here that whatever home you want, you're going to be able to find.
When you own a home in this area, you'll want to make sure you have measures to prevent erosion from your section of the hill. So you can see behind me here, they've done a lot of plants and measures to prevent soil erosion. And then if we walk over this way, there's less. If you have excess erosion, that's going to be a bad thing for potentially losing some section of hill, which is going to in turn be bad for a stable foundation for your house.
Their streets are wider in this section, which is helpful if people want to come and visit you. They have a place to park. And also, the garages tend to be a little smaller if you have one of the older garages, so it's helpful for you to have a place to park.
In this section of the hillside, there's not a lot of large established trees. On the plus side, you're going to have better views. On the downside, you're not going to have protection from the sun, and it's hotter here. It's probably around 5 degrees hotter here in the summer than even just down along the coastline.
This is the scariest street that you will ever encounter in all of Ventura. I got my high-tech angle measurement tool, and we're gonna see really how scary this is. 75 degrees, that is not for the faint-hearted. Think about shopping downtown and having to walk up this.
You're gonna cross Poley Street when you're leaving Ventura Hills to get either to the downtown or midtown. The important thing is it can get super busy, so you might have to wait at the stop sign for quite a while before you can get out into traffic.
Just down the hill, you can go to any of the stores or Rubicon Theater on Main Street, or just a little bit further down is Prospect Coffee, one of the best coffee places here in Ventura.
It is tasty.
And right next to the coffee house is the Asian American Market, which has a wonderful array of different Asian food and materials for you to buy.
Across Poley Street, you have Cemetery Memorial Park, which people love in this area because a lot of the lots for these homes don't necessarily have a big yard. So you're gonna love this huge grassy expanse here. And also there's lots of dogs. Some of them are off leash. It's kind of like an off leash dog area, even though it may not be designated one.
If you drive up Aliso Street, there is this little hidden area called Hidden Aliso. And it feels so different from the rest of Hillside because it's not as steep. The homes have more trees around them. It feels very suburban. There's a lot of updating homes, so you're gonna be hearing, see if you can hear that, hearing people working on their houses. Just a very quaint feeling. Nice breeze, but you don't really have a view, so it is a little cheaper.
Depending on where you're at on the hill here, you might either have a view or perhaps it'll be obstructed by your neighbor.
What some people do is above their garage, they build a little balcony so that they can have a better view.
If you enjoy walking in this section of the hillside, chances are you might be part billy goat.
Well, it's not as steep as the other one. It's more of a gradual.
The streets are narrow, so there's not a whole lot of room for walking, especially when a car comes down the street.
There are the side streets though that don't have as many people, and the people are driving really slow, so you don't really have to worry about noise. There's a variety of different types of homes here, all the way from large estate up to little rent style homes.
Now we're in Hobson Heights, another section of the hillside bordering Poley Street. In this area, you're going to find more Spanish-style homes dating from around the 1920s. And as you move up the hill, also much larger homes that are much larger lots.
This neighborhood feels like you should be in the movies and driving a little Porsche car and just zipping and zapping. So, but most cars are really slow around here and watching for pedestrians.
Yeah, it feels like you could be on a hilly area on the streets of Monte Carlo.
There you go, that's what I meant. This is one of the most popular neighborhoods on the hillside just because of that feel. Some of these homes you can drive right into your garage and be on the main floor. So it's kind of misleading because you think it's a small ranch home, but it's built on the hillside and you're really going to be climbing some stairs.
You're going to get in shape on the upside. You'll have a little bit more room on some of the streets. There's even a few sections that have sidewalk.
However, on the sections that are more narrow, and I'm talking about narrow, when you try to come out of your driveway, it is really tough because you have limited sight on some of those corners and limited turning radius.
As you move uphill, it's like some of these other sections we've covered. It gets really steep really fast. You get also much larger homes on larger lots with big views.
Gorgeous views.
Yeah.
It feels luxurious, but yet like your home. That's kind of how I feel here. There's just such a diversity of different landscaping and it's established, but yet the homes feel a little newer. One of our clients said that they were so excited to move here because then they had this beautiful panoramic view. However, they then said they were rarely out on their balcony ever because it was so windy that they'd have to put on their jackets in order to go out and enjoy the view. So you're gonna have a lot of homes with windows. Panoramic views from the windows.
Because of the fire, there ended up being an availability of lots here, so there is new construction and there are custom homes being built.
Some of the homes back up to this beautiful open space. So you can see you're not going to have much of a backyard, but you're going to have an amazing view. This is one of the reasons why you have such an increased risk of fire danger in this area. This is an example of one of those ranch homes. You think you're getting a ranch home and then you realize you have all of those different levels.
Now we're in the flatlands of the hillside, Ventura Heights.
This area is located really close to the high school, so it tends to sell for a little bit less than the other neighborhoods we've been talking about. Due to there's a lot of traffic and noise, and they actually close the streets near the high school when it's in session.
It has a totally different feel than some of those other areas we first covered. It's just a more gradual slope here, so one upside is you're gonna have a more usable lot if you'd like to be out in your front yard or your backyard.
The homes are located on smaller lots, so if you're not wanting to take care of a big yard, this would be a good neighborhood for you still. The homes tend to range also on the smaller side. With living in the lower section of Ventura Heights, you're going to be able to experience the sports at the high school and root them on like you're there, because you will be able to hear it. But it really makes you feel like you're part of the community.
About the lower section of Ventura Heights, closer to the high school, is it feels more like Midtown. It's primarily because it's really right here next to Midtown, and also it's a lot flatter than some of the other parts of the hillside that we've shown you.
And it's super close to Main Street, so you can go to the Singing Sun coffee shop to get some coffee, not chai.
Yeah, you're just so close to all these hangouts right here along Main Street.
Little markets. If you enjoy shopping at delicatessens and little small markets, this is the place. One of the areas where you don't necessarily have to worry about high fire danger is this area.
Ventura Heights is similar to some of those other sections we covered. You're going to have fabulous views. It is going to get steeper quickly as you go uphill. But then some of the differences are you're going to have some wider sections of streets and places to walk, even with little sections of curb here and there.
And it's a little more flat on the side streets. Another thing is the landscaping. You have larger lots and they tend to be tiered, so you really have usable space. And the views. The views are exceptional here. Also, everyone is really friendly around here. It's so quiet and friendly here, even the dogs are quiet and friendly. Have blossom.
Hey everyone, now we've moved over to the eastern section of the hillside, which is going to have a very different feel, more spread out, really low key, and you're also getting over closer to the college neighborhood and further east, essentially.
Further away from Midtown and where all the shopping is and the small little restaurants. So you're trading that off for a quieter lifestyle on bigger lots.
Although keep in mind, you're still maybe about a 10-minute drive from here to Surfers Point.
In Ventura, you have what's called May Gray, Gloom June.
Not so much sun in your eye July.
Even though you're up on the hillside and supposedly you're above it all, it still blocks your view and the sun. But on those sunny days or when it's all dissipated, you have these amazing panoramic views.
We are in the hillside, but technically if you wanted to know what neighborhood this really lies in, we're actually in part of the college neighborhood right now. Now we're in the Two Trees section, which was named originally for two famous trees that stood way on the hillside above us currently, two eucalyptus trees, which unfortunately are no longer alive. It's sad. This is a hard landscape here. You have a lot of open space over to the left side of us. There's not a lot of large established trees here because as you get higher up, it's going to be a harder situation for water. And keep in mind as well, if you're living over in this section, you're going to have some responsibilities with your yard to make sure it's fire safe. One of the neighbors told us, who has a larger lot bordering the open space, that he spends around $3,000 a year just to maintain the yard so it's fire safe.
Right, but he has a very large lot. The homes that line the open space and have smaller lots, they're spending around $300 a year.
A great thing about this neighborhood is everything is accessible to you within a 7-mile or so radius. So you still are gonna have lots of shopping in Midtown.
What's deceptive about this area is when you first come into the neighborhood, it's these two very, very thin one-way streets. And you're like, whoa, what is up here? Then you drive over and the streets get really big. And so it's good for walking, as long as you don't mind really steep hills. There are a lot of older homes here, but due to the fire, there are some empty lots. So if you're thinking about building a home, they're available, and some newer homes that were built after the fire.
Yeah, even on this one cul-de-sac, there were 6 homes built after the fire because there was so much fire damage. Big plus for this area is you're super close to 2 Ventura hospitals from here. The view is amazing from this Two Trees neighborhood. You can see all the way over to Oxnard and then down the coastline, even up to Surfers Point, to downtown Ventura, and just about over to the west side.
It's quiet except for when the airplanes are going over. There is a flight path here. When people move to this neighborhood, they tend to stay in this neighborhood, which makes it so you have a really tight-knit community that knows each other very well. You'll see people out walking and just really enjoying the weather and the views. And also, if you walk over to the edge where all of the open space is, you might see a cow grazing. In the Skyline section, most of the homes were built in the 1970s. However, there were quite a few homes that were destroyed in the Thomas Fire, and so there are some new homes built in the 2000s.
You're further from the ocean here, so you're not gonna have quite as dramatic ocean views, but you're right next to Arroyo Verde Park, so you're gonna have fantastic mountain views as well, especially of that large open space area. You start to have larger lots here and some very large homes that have been built in this area.
If you're interested in finding out more about this section, then make sure you watch our video of the college neighborhood. Hidden Valley is located in a valley, so you're not going to have those panoramic views of the ocean. However, you're going to have beautiful views of the mountains and these custom homes up on the hill that look like mansions, as well as orchards. Most of the homes in Hidden Valley are older and have established beautiful landscaping and just a really nice, quiet feel to them. Where further down the hill, by the foothills, you're going to have newer homes. Just to show the feeling of this neighborhood, you're going to have your own little free library box. The only neighborhood you really could compare this to on the hillside is Hidden Aliso. However, in this section, the foothills aren't on top of you, so you feel like you have a lot more space. It really is a large valley.
It's really a more gentle slope here in the hidden valleys. Also, the streets are nice wide streets. You have lots of room. There's sidewalks. So if you're the kind of person who wants to get out walking, dog walking, and that kind of thing, you're probably gonna like that more. Ondulando is the largest section of hillside homes that we've covered. You're gonna find a majority of ranch style homes here. The roads that cut through the neighborhood have a nice gradual slope, so you will see lots of people out walking. Further from the ocean here, so even if you do have ocean views, they're not gonna be as dramatic. But one thing that's really nice about this neighborhood is you have a lot more established trees, so you have some nice shade from the trees. And even if your house could potentially have an ocean view, there's a good chance that some of that's gonna be blocked by neighboring trees. This neighborhood was the most impacted from the Thomas fire, but the neighbors have banded together and really worked hard on fire mitigation efforts, which could potentially help them with lower insurance rates.
Clear Point is located adjacent to the Harmon Canyon Trail. Some of these homes have panoramic views and back up to the trail. Almost every home built here is a ranch style house, and they were built 1970s to 1980s, unless of course one of the lots was burned down and the home is being rebuilt. There aren't any overhead power lines for you to have an obstruction of your view. However, close to the neighborhood, you're gonna have some high power towers and agriculture. So those are things to keep in mind if you are interested in looking at this area. It does have a different feel here. You don't see as many people walking down the streets. However, they are wide and you have sidewalks. Unlike Ondulando, we're back to an area that doesn't have as many trees, which makes for the ability to have a better view, but less shade. The next video you need to watch is our neighborhood video, where we go over each neighborhood in Ventura to help you find your perfect place to live.
That's right, Keziah, and remember, we are real estate agents. We'd love to help you find the perfect home and neighborhood just for you, so give us a call.